So in this video I'm going to be showing you my Solway camper conversion seat frame and also give you an update on my Solway panels, coming up now. Well, there it effectively is in all its glory. Now, I had a bit of a faff when it came to seat frames because there are a few choices and none of them were really fitting the bill for me personally until I came across this fellow. And the first one I looked at is from a company called Evo Motion, which is quite popular. But what put me off that one was it has like a big bar at the back here which comes up, and there's space for the truma underneath, but it is basically just the backing plate and the seatbelt mount, so you have to build an entire box around it at the bottom which the seat cushions go onto. And I was just a little bit worried with that God forbid, in the event of an accident, this thing is going to just completely collapse, and the occupants are going to find themselves sat down on top of the truma boiler and all the gubbins underneath. The seat frame itself will stay in place, the backing part, but the box, because it's only made of furniture, lightweight furniture ply, would all disintegrate and fall apart, and the passengers in the back here find themselves in a heap on the floor. So that kind of put me off the Evo design ones. I'll put a picture of that sort of up here somewhere so you can see it and sort of see what I mean. And then the other one I looked at was the Sportscraft frame. That looked a nice, decent, solid job, but the trouble is it's not very tall because it's a kind of fairly universal fit for all different shapes and sizes of vans. So the bottom part here is quite short. Which means you'd have to have packed it up from underneath, either by having an additional frame built for it to sit on, or some like mini I-beams going across underneath, or things like that. So again, that all seemed a bit of a faff. And again, I'll put a picture of that up here or here, whatever the case may be. And so that wasn't really doing it for me either. And then I came across this one, which is available from Solway Camper Conversions, the same people that make the Solway panels. And this is designed specifically for the X290 chassis. And by that, of course, I mean the Fiat Ducato, Peugeot Boxer, Citroen Relay and Ram ProMaster. Now, what I liked about this one is the height of it is already sort of nicely up to the right size, so it matches the front seat. So if I just step down out the van here and come down here, even though it hasn't got the seat cushions on yet, you can see the frame here is running across level with the frame on the front there. So by the time you've got your seat cushions on, that is going to be the same height as your seat in the front. So you haven't got to pack this up at all in any way. It's already the correct prescribed height, which is quite good. And it's not too expensive either. Considerably cheaper than the Evo Motion one and the Sportscraft frame as well. And there's plenty of room underneath for the truma boiler, as you can see. In fact, there's loads of room under here for the boiler, because I got my boiler tucked to one side, and I got a nice big space at this end still to use his storage or whatever I want to do. So I'm very happy with this. This is an absolutely cracking job. Now, what most people tend to do, and what Solway Camper Conversions recommend, is for this to be fitted with seat cushions, which basically has a piece of plywood on the bottom and a cushion, and a piece of plywood at the back here and a cushion, and then there's an additional bit that goes on the top here, which is for the headrest, which isn't on there at the moment. And I'll throw some pictures on screen, which I'm just going to grab from the Solway website to show you, some ideas of the sort of finished article of what this will look like. I, however, am going to try and be a little bit different with mine, and what I'm going to try and do. Oh, it's raining. I need to get the stuff in. Oh, right, blimey. As I was saying before the heavens opened and I had to rush and put everything away, the standard idea is a piece of timber on the bottom there with a cushion, a piece of timber on the top here, back with a cushion, and some pictures on screen now of what that kind of looks like. I, however, am going to try something different, and I'm going to see if I can reuse the cushions from the double seat that was in the front. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking now, yeah, right, that's going to happen. That says no way that's going to fit. But I've hatched a plan. And you might notice here, there's already some modifications. Let me talk you through what I've done. So, bear in mind that, all of this has basically cost me nothing, because these strips of aluminium I already had in the garage and have been in the garage since Adam was a lad, which I've reused, and borrowed a welder from my father. And so I've spent basically nothing in trying to do this. And if it turns out to be absolutely dreadful and look horrible and awful and think I wish I hadn't bothered, then of course I'll just simply go to my local upholsterer and have a bottom cushion made and a top cushion made, and go with how Solway recommend to use it. But what I've done is I've added these aluminium bars across the back here to act as a support for the back. And at the top here, these little fellows actually came off the original seat frame, and I've welded those into position, and they've been sort of sprayed up and prepared as well. And if I go to the garage quickly, let me show you the other bit that I've robbed from the original seat, and that is here it is here, the original sort of basket frame. So let me go and get the original seat frame a second and show you what I've done. Okay, so here's the original that came out of the van. It's been outside for a long time now, which is why it's gone all rusty and manky and horrible. But the basket that's in the bottom here, I've used an angle grinder and cut that out, and the pieces from the top here, which hold the headrest, again I've cut out, and I've got another one here which you might notice behind me, which shows that basket in position and the headrest in position. So what I've done is I found locally through Facebook Marketplace someone locally who was basically giving one of these away for free. They're doing a van conversion, and of course no one wants this front seat, double seat, once they've taken it out. So literally just 8 miles away from where I live, I managed to pick up another one with the Citroen fabric in it from a 2005 model, which I managed to pick up for free. So my total cost so far is about 10 quid in diesel, and it will become apparent in a second why I needed that second seat frame. It was actually for a bit of cushion and some of the fabric. Right, let me sort of build this up a second and show you what I've got in mind. And when you get the seat frame, although unfortunately you can't see any of them now because they're all buried underneath the boiler and the plywood that I've put in, but it comes with 4 spreader plates to go underneath the van, and I didn't film the installation of this really because it is literally as simple as just drill 4 holes, put bolts through and put the spreader plates underneath, and that is it. Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. So that's basically what I did. And you have fixing points on the 2 front corners, on the 2 back corners, and then you have some additional options along the back here of places where you can get bolts through so you miss the chassis members and all that kind of stuff underneath. So first things first, I've just offered this sort of, I'll call it the basket for want of a better word, and I've just spot welded that to some angle iron just to hold it in position. And once I've taken all my final measurements and I'm happy with everything, I'll cut the one out of the other seat frame I've got and make a better job of that. So this is like my template one, if you like, for want of a better description. So then the cushion, which I've got here from the original seat frame, you can see on the bottom of it is shaped, which is one of the reasons why everyone struggles to get this in. But now that is going to sit down into that basket like so, and needs a little bit of jiggery pokery to get it all finished, but the idea is there, and the seat belts will come up through that hole there. So that is going to effectively sort of look like that. Obviously there's lots of work on the upholstery to do, so this is by no means the finished article. I just thought I'd show you the general idea I've got. So that sits on there, and by chance the width is absolutely spot on, look. And then the top cushion is this fellow here. Now, as many of you will be aware, the front seat in a Ducato Relay blah 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 has a pull down table, which is there. Now, of course, when you actually take that cushion out, I've taken all the fabric off, obviously, as you can see, but when you take that out, you've got a big hole. But interestingly, that hole there is exactly the same size as that bit there. So you can see where this is going already. My second free of charge seat frame has acted as a donor, and what I have here now is this fellow, which is come out of there, which will fit nicely into that hole there, like that. Again, obviously it all needs to be upholstered and stitched together, but you get the idea that will now fit in there. Oh, that's looking a bit more like a seat frame now, isn't it? So using a lot of upholstery from the donor one, I'm going to upholster that extra bit, sew it in and fix it all together so it's all basically one piece. Put it all back together. That sits on there quite nicely. It just comes in at the corner here, and the seat frame is there, which is a bit of a shame. But what I'm going to do is, obviously I've still got to sort out the sides, so I'm going to build a box around this using my furniture board. And the furniture board is going to sort of come up here, come up the side here, and then sort of curve round at the top to marry up to this bit here. So that will cover a lot of that. You'll only see it if you actually physically look through from this side here, but from the side there'll be furniture board there covering that, so you won't see that. And the reason why I've gone to the effort of welding on those headrests is, if I just grab one, yeah, right, so comes in two pieces. You've got the actual headrest and you've got this plastic lug. I'm not going to push the plastic lug down in there yet because once in, they're a sod to get back out, but that will fit down in there. And then the cushion kind of sits over the top of it, and then that will push down through there, make connection with those lugs. He says, I haven't quite got the cushion in place there yet. That's better. Right. And that will push down there, go through those holes, like so. Now, once that's in, because that's now on the seat frame, that isn't going anywhere, and that also holds the top of the cushion into position as well. And obviously we can do that on both sides. So, fingers crossed. See, the bottom needs to come out a little bit more yet, but fingers crossed that may well work. Yeah, far from finished, and there's an awful lot of upholstery still to do on that, obviously. But just to give you a flavour of what I'm trying to achieve. And you can see now I've put those aluminium sort of braces across the back there, is so that when you sit in it, you don't sort of fall back through the big hole in the back there. And we've tried it, and it's actually reasonably comfortable, surprisingly. So that hopefully will be okay. And that, upholstery wise, isn't going to cost me a bean other than the 10 quid in diesel I spent going to get the additional donor seat. And obviously I need to go to the scrapyard at some point and get rid of those 2 seat frames that are nicely rusting in the garden. But again, that's very, very local, literally just down the road. So that isn't going to have a lot of cost involved in it other than the hassle of doing it. So I hope that's given an insight into what I'm planning to do, and to see if I can reuse the seat cushions from the one in the front. Right, let's move on to the Solway panels. So after my Solway panel installation video, the chap from Solway Panels made contact, Jimmy. Now, as you can imagine, he wasn't best pleased with my video, so I thought I would do a follow-up to that. Now I finished the front of the van at least. I've not completed the back yet, but the front is pretty well finished, apart from the seat frame, the upholstery on the seat frame, and show you actually what it looks like now everything's in. So let me turn this camera around and show you what I've done. Okay, so around the front here we've got the Solway panel comes up around the side here, and we've got the piece across the middle. And what I've done, that gap I had at the top, which I covered in quite good detail on that panel installation video, I filled that in, as you can see, with a piece of furniture board, which covers the gap that side across the top and tucks in around there. And I've trimmed the furniture board with some T-trim, which goes all the way around, like so. And I also put some T-trim across the top here, just to sort of finish that and get a nice edge up against the ceiling. And then we've got the timber door in the middle here, which rolls up, and there's my sort of cubby hole inside. Had to get a couple of screws on the front here just to to hold that together, but once I put the caps on, that's not the end of the world. And at this end here, my cupboard above the sliding door is going to come in roughly about sort of there, around here like that. So that end will be taken care of as well. So actually, I have to say, this front panel, although you can't actually see an awful lot of it now, obviously behind there it still goes up quite a long way, and there's some wooden framing in behind there to hold everything together, so you only see a little bit of it now, but I think that looks alright. Let me know in the comments below what you think of that, and my method of overcoming the problem of a H3 van and a H2 plastic panel. But I'm relatively happy with that, I have to say. Obviously you have to kind of ignore this bit and imagine there's the side of a cupboard there. And around this side, what I've got is my cupboards are in up above. The installation of that can be seen in the sort of cupboard video, but just briefly, again, I've put a piece of furniture board up in here with a piece of T-trim along the top there. That's my little Truma temperature sensor just up in the corner there, minding its own business. And we've put the end pieces in again with T-trim. And this is the aluminium panel that comes from Morelands, and that again sort of touches in that side. These doors actually come from IKEA. They're IKEA kitchen doors, this white gloss. So I've cheated a bit on that. I thought, why mess about trying to make those and be fraction of a millimeter perfect when you can just buy ready-made, ready-to-go doors. So the cupboard has actually been made to fit the door as opposed to the doors being made to fit the cupboard. I've done the other way around. And in the back here, I've got to hold it up because I haven't put the catches on yet. But what we've got in the back there is I've used a piece of the white ceiling board that I had left over just to fill in behind where the top of the Solway panel came to. So the Solway panel comes in behind here. It finishes roughly about here. So what I've done is I've fixed this backing board in, and that goes all the way up to the top and kind of touches the ceiling up there. That cable is the cable for the temperature sensor, and then that is the bottom of the cupboard, like so. So all in all, I have to say I'm fairly happy with that. You know, my first build and first attempt at that. And the all important bit, which is you know, what we're really talking about underneath here. Now I've got that put together, the Solway panel fits nicely all the way around, and it tucks up behind the cupboard, and is looking hunky-dory. So you know, I'm actually very happy with that. I've still got this crappy gap here to sort out, but other than that, it's all good. So let's try and get another angle here of how that looks Solway panel wise, at the very least, because that's what we're talking about. Sort of coming round around the front here. So just to finish off and summarise, I guess the million-dollar questions are, should you buy Solway panels? Well, if that's the kind of finish that you're after, then yes, absolutely you should, because they do what they say on the tin, and the overall finish that you get is spotty dog. Is it easy and simple? No, you're going to have to do a lot of manipulation to them to get them to fit and to get the desired effect. So be prepared for that. It's not just simply, to coin the phrase, plug and play. But if you're prepared to put in the effort, then the end result, I think, is a-okay. So I think my recommendation to others that are considering Solway panels is to think about the end result and the end finish you're going to get. And if you persevere with them, I think it actually looks alright, and I'm happy with it. So would I recommend them to others? Actually, yeah, they're fine. They do what they say. I think the reason for my grumps earlier on were this. In my day job, I have to work to quite precise detail and quite precise measurements all the time. I won't go into information of what I do, that's irrelevant, but it does require a certain level of accuracy. So, of course, I had this preconception when I ordered these panels at the best part of £1,200 that they were effectively going to be a bit like just sort of plug and play, really. You just offer them into position, you know, stick them on the wall, and everything lines up perfectly, and you just screw it on. Okay, that's what I expected. That's what I assumed was going to be the case, especially for that sort of money. As it turns out, it's not. You have to manipulate them and mess around with them to get them in, and it's not a straightforward plug and play situation. But if you persevere, then the end result you get is absolutely cracking, and they do what they say on the tin in that respect. So as long as you have an appropriate mindset, perhaps when you go about it, that they are going to need to be chopped and manipulated and messed about with to get it to fit, then you know, it's fine. Do it, go for it, and the finish that you get, which is the all important bit at the end of the day, is all good. If a representative from Solway is watching this, which I dare say probably one of them will at some point, may I recommend to you, and this really, do take this as constructive criticism, because I want you, you know, you're a small independent business, and I want you to succeed as much as everyone else does. You know, I'm not here to completely slate you as a company and for you to disappear. That's not the case at all. I was just annoyed that they didn't fit for the money, that was all. So what I recommend, and also of course they come with no instructions whatsoever. You don't know, because interestingly the contact I had from Solway said I was putting them in too low. The side panels were too low, and I thought, well, hang on, if I put them up, my gap at the bottom is going to be even more, so that didn't quite make sense either. And they don't come with any instructions at all as to what you're supposed to do. So 3 things for Mr. Solway would be: number 1, why don't you consider having your own YouTube channel and make some fitment videos for each of the separate panels? They only need to be a minute long. It doesn't need to be, you know, Hollywood standard. It can just be done with a smartphone, and just show, you know, where they're supposed to fit in relation to the ribs on the side of the van, and what the correct fitment of these things are, so that people actually know what they're doing when their panels arrive. And it's just literally a big box of plastic panels with no instructions, and you're just left to your own devices. You know, people are getting it wrong and making mistakes. So why don't you, you know, do your own YouTube channel with some short, concise, to the point fitment videos? That would be fantastic. Second one would be on this front one here. Perhaps consider having 2 different panels because of this recess and the fact that the window doesn't fit, and I got this gap to fill in. How about, now I know this is easy to say and not quite so easy to do, because you've got molds to make and design and all that kind of stuff, and it all costs money. But why don't you do 2 different ones? Because this panel, if you were having a rear lounge layout and your fridge and your shower were further forward, then this panel is absolutely great. It's perfect for that, no problem at all. If, like the majority, you're having a window put here instead, why don't you consider having a second option which you can choose with a deeper recess, just like the one on the sliding door, so the inside blind fits well, and you don't have that gap. The top of the panel and the bottom of the panel is the same. That doesn't need to change. It's just the middle bit where this recess is here. Why don't you consider having a deeper version? And then at least the customer has the choice of which one they want, depending on the layout that they're going for, with seats and a window, or with a rear lounge and the shower and the fridge right forward here. That, I think, would be good customer service, so that when you order your pack, you can choose which one you want to fit with the design that you're going for. And the final one would be to, again, this is just from my own personal use, because I've got a H3 van, and but you know, I know H2 is by far considerably the more popular one, and that's why you make your panels to fit a H2. I get that, you know, that makes sense. But there are plenty of H3 vans out there as well. So how about consider, again, doing like an add-on kit of some extra small panels to fill in the holes above the panels to fit a H3. It doesn't need to be a whole new panel. You could just make an additional kit of small panels to add on to fill in the gap. So on the sides and on the back doors and on the pillars and things like that. You know, that'd be very useful as well. And seat frame wise, yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give it a go and see if we can get those cushions to fit. And at the end of the day, like I said, if A, it looks like a pig's ear, or and B, it's uncomfortable for any reason, then I'll just simply scrap the whole idea, take it all off, and go to the upholsterer and have the proper platform, you know, ply base with cushion on, ply back with cushion on fitted, and you know, do as Solway recommend in their blurb, because these things, you know, they're just tack welded on, and they're simple enough to get an angle grinder in there and just get them back off again. And this all is just screwed on, so that'll all come off and it'll go back to as it originally was. So I'm gonna give it a go, see how I get on, and if it works, brilliant. It hasn't cost me anything for upholstery. If it looks like a pig's ear or it's uncomfortable, we can go back to plan B again, so no harm done. So if you found that video interesting and informative, please do consider subscribing and hit that like button, and we'll see you next time round. And hopefully this has made Mr. Solway a little bit more happy anyway. And you know, I'm the type of character, as you probably can tell from watching my videos. If I like something, I'll say I like it, and if I don't, I'll say I don't. It's as simple as that. And when I was installing it, there was a lot that I didn't like and was making me all grumpy. But now I finished it the front here, and I can see the finished article. I'm warming to them perhaps a little bit more, and it's doing exactly what I wanted them to do. So I'm quite happy in that respect. And the seat frame looks absolutely cracking because it's not too expensive, and it's the right height for Fiat Ducatos and Boxers and Relays and ProMasters. So there's no faffing about in that respect of having to pack them up from underneath. So that was a cracking buy as well. So I'd highly recommend that one from Solway Camper Conversions. Anyway, enough blah blaring on from me. Let's crack on with the build, and I'll see you next time round. Bye for now.